The film begins when we see a girl returning home after school, only to find that a serial killer is hiding in her house, trying to kill her. However, she is rushed to the hospital, and Andy, the assistant dean of the university, comes to check on her condition through Detective Dana, who is also a friend of his. He is concerned because the girl is one of his students, and similar attacks have happened to other girls at the university, especially those living alone. Dr. Jed Hill, a highly skilled surgeon, miraculously saves her. It's his first surgery at this hospital, as he had recently transferred there. After the operation, Andy introduces himself to Jed and tells him they went to high school together, though Jed doesn't quite remember him. Andy then picks up his wife Tracy, who also works at the hospital in the children's department. He tells her that the best surgeon has just joined their hospital and says, "You won't believe it, he was my high school friend. I can even tell him about your condition." While in the elevator, Dr. Jed coincidentally joins them, and Andy introduces him to Tracy. After they leave, Tracy tells Andy that the plumber called her with a large repair bill. She tells him, "I told you before, the solution is to rent out the third floor of the house." Andy replies, "Forget it. I'm not renting that floor to anyone. We're not living with strangers." Then they each go their separate ways to work. While standing by the window, Andy sees Tracy returning with a man, greeting him warmly. When she comes upstairs, he calmly asks her, "Who brought you home?" She replies, "That's Dennis, my late mother's lawyer. We were just finishing some paperwork." When they reach their apartment, Andy notices the neighbor's young boy watching them from the window, as he always does. The boy makes Andy uneasy since his mother works night shifts as a nurse, and he is often left alone. The next day, while Andy is working from home, Dr. Jed suddenly shows up, saying he was looking for a place to rent in the neighborhood and stopped by to invite Andy and Tracy for lunch. Andy tells him that Tracy is at work, so the two of them go out together. While they're having lunch, Andy tells him about Tracy's abdominal pain and how she longs to have children but is unable to. Jed asks, "Does she see a doctor?" Andy replies, "Yes, she goes to Dr. David Lillenfield. Do you know him?" Jed responds, "Yes, he is a very skilled doctor. But if she doesn't get better with him, bring her to me." That is when Andy gets the idea to let Jed rent the third floor. Tracy refuses, saying, "Didn't you say you don't want strangers in our house?" Andy replies, "He is my friend. I know him. He is better than renting to a complete stranger." Eventually, Dr. Jed moves in with them. Later, we see Andy at the university talking to a student named Paula who missed her exam. She gives a strange excuse. She set her alarm on her phone, but didn't hear it. Andy instructs his secretary to call her before the next exam to wake her up. Meanwhile, Detective Dana tells Andy that the girl who was attacked said she didn't see her attacker because he came from behind. Dana asks Andy to help her figure out who has the university's student schedules, as the killer always breaks into their homes when they're in class. Andy asks, "Do you know why the killer keeps locks of their hair?" Dana jokes, "Maybe he is making a pillow out of them." Tracy starts feeling abdominal pain. Suddenly, Jed walks into her room without knocking. She gets angry, especially because he frequently brings over female guests, and their loud music disturbs her. On the day of the exam, Paula is late again. Andy asks his secretary, "Did you call her?" She replies, "Yes, but she didn't answer. I left her a voicemail." Andy suspects she ignored the call and heads to her house. He doesn't find her, but notices locks of her hair on the floor. He searches until he finds her dead outside the house. The next day, Detective Dana questions Andy about why he was at Paula's house. He says he didn't want her to miss the exam. Dana tells him, "All the victims visited you before they were attacked." Andy replies, "That's normal. They come to me for recommendation letters." She asks, "What is your blood type?" He answers, O+. She then says, "What if I told you the killer's blood type is O+? Andy is shocked and replies, "How could you think that? I would never hurt anyone." Dana says, "I'm not accusing you, but we still need to run a test." Andy asks, "What kind of test?" She replies, "A sample, to see if you're the attacker or not." Though upset, he agrees. The test confirms he is not the killer. This test will prove useful later. Meanwhile, Tracy's condition worsens, and she is rushed to the hospital with severe bleeding in one ovary. Dr. Jed is the one assigned to operate. After reviewing the scans, he says, there is a 4 to 5 week old embryo. During surgery, after removing the damaged ovary, another doctor points out that the second ovary looks twisted and suggests a frozen section biopsy. but the lab doctor is unavailable and will take at least 30 minutes to arrive. Jed insists on examining it under the microscope himself. Another doctor warns him that even powering on the microscope will take 30 minutes. Jed checks her blood pressure and says leaving the wound open that long is risky. He instructs them to clean the wound and stabilize her vitals while he steps out to explain the situation. Jed tells Andy that he had to remove one ovary due to a large cyst that was causing the pain. However, the other ovary also appears damaged and must be removed to save her life. But doing so means she'll never be able to have children. He also reveals that she was pregnant. Andy, heartbroken, agrees to the operation to save Tracy's life. Jed goes back into surgery and removes the second ovary. The assisting doctor protests, saying they shouldn't remove it without confirmation that it's damaged. Jed replies, "She's my friend's wife. I'm only doing what's best for her, and I'm sure the ovary is unhealthy." Later, Dr. George, who has no morals, walks in and says, "The biopsy results came in, you removed a healthy ovary. But don't worry. Just tear up the report. The lab technician won't say anything, I have leverage over him." When Tracy wakes up, Jed visits her and apologizes, saying he had no choice. Tracy responds, "Tomorrow I'll go to a lawyer and sue you." Once fully recovered, she decides to leave Andy and their home. She can't bear to see him after what Jed did to her. With Andy's approval, Tracy's lawsuit against Jed succeeds with the help of her lawyer, Dennis. She is expected to receive $20 million in compensation from the insurance company, though the paperwork still needs a few more days to be finalized. Andy waits for her outside, but doesn't go up to talk to her. She sees him, and chooses to walk away. At this point, Andy is working late, and suddenly the light bulb goes out. He goes to the storage room to get another one and enters the place where Earl, the janitor, sleeps. He looks at a photo of Earl with his mother and finds a lock of hair underneath it. Then, when he looks inside a box, he finds another lock of hair in a different color. Earl enters and tells him that it's a lock of his mother's hair that he keeps. As Andy tries to leave, Earl attempts to kill him, but Andy manages to knock him unconscious. It turns out that Earl is the serial killer who has been murdering girls on campus. Later, Andy sits with his detective friend Dana and tells her how upset he is about what happened to Tracy, especially since she was pregnant. When Dana finds out about the pregnancy, she says to him, "Come, I want to show you something," and reveals a lab report showing that Andy is sterile. This means that Tracy was involved with someone else. Afterward, Andy goes to Jed and tells him about it, that Tracy isn't the angel she appears to be in court, and that he could say this to defend himself. But Jed replies, the court doesn't care about this. She is a woman who had surgery that rendered her infertile. The court won't consider her behavior. Andy asks, "And what about you?" Jed responds, "The insurance company will pay the compensation. And anyway, if Tracy was that bad, she got what she deserved through the surgery I performed on her." Still, Andy is determined to find out who Tracy cheated on him with. He suspects the lawyer, Dennis, because of a time he saw her coming back with him. So he confronts Dennis in his office and asks, "Were you involved with Tracy?" Dennis replies, "There was nothing between me and her." Andy asks again, "I want to know where she is." Dennis says, "I can't betray my client and reveal her secrets. You can ask her friends, her mother, or anyone else." Andy replies in shock, "Her mother? Isn't she dead?" Dennis answers, "No, that's not true." Andy asks, "What is her address?" Dennis says, "I can't tell you, but take a bottle of scotch with you." Andy finds the address of Tracy's mother. She is a strange, difficult person, and Dennis' advice turns out to be spot on because without the bottle, she wouldn't have let him in. Andy explains the story to her, and she asks, "Are you still working with children?" He says, "Yes, she loves kids." The mother laughs mockingly and says, "Love kids? She had an abortion when she tried to trap a millionaire into marriage. She got pregnant, but he didn't want the baby. So she took $80,000 from him to terminate the pregnancy. Looks like you and your surgeon friend were just more of her victims." Andy says, "I want to know where she is." The mother replies, "All this just to know who she was sleeping with other than you. Play the game, stay quiet, and take the $20 million. Andy asks, "Game? What game? Are you telling me all of this was planned?" She says, "Figure it out yourself." And of course, like last time with the millionaire's money, I won't see a single penny of it. She took the money and stayed with the doctor who performed the abortion, never leaving his clinic. Andy begins to think about the doctor's name and asks, Was his name David Lilienfeld? She says, now you're getting it. Somehow, Andy finds Lilienfeld's address. No one is home, but when he looks through the window, he sees a statue of Tracy. That confirms she lives there. He sneaks in through the back door and hears Tracy laughing. He hides, and then comes the twist. It's a twist for Andy, but I had my suspicions from the start. Jed walks in with her, and you can imagine what Andy sees. Furious, Andy breaks her photo, and when her belongings fall to the ground, he finds that syringe. The next day, Tracy and Jed find the syringe on the bed. Jed says, Andy definitely brought this here, and decides to take revenge. At this point, Andy has realized that Dr. Lilienfeld is a fictional character, especially after learning more about the pregnancy. Tracy says, leave Andy to me, I'll handle him. She goes to meet him, revealing her true evil and deceptive nature. After some back and forth, she tells him, if you want to call the police, go ahead. But all you have is an empty syringe. He replies, this syringe contains a small amount of Pergonal. She's shocked he knows the drug's name. She says, I took that to get pregnant. He answers, yes, the lab told me. But they also said that if it's injected in high doses, it causes ovarian cysts, forcing doctors to operate. She replies, but the hormone has now dissolved and left no trace. He responds, what if I have a witness who saw Dr. Jed inject you with it? Remember our neighbor's kid? He the witness. She gets angry and smashes a glass. Andy continues, if anything happens to me, I've instructed the police to question that boy. He'll tell them everything. She asks, what do you want? He says, half the money. She goes to tell Jed, saying, I'm not giving him any money, that money is mine. But Jed replies, give him the money. He won't harm you if you're in prison. She says, he can't do anything, the kid is gone. Andy will look like a broken man under stress. Her implication was that she would kill the kid. Jed is shocked by her thinking. She says, why are you surprised? You're the one who twisted my other ovary to make it appear damaged so you could remove it. Now I can't kill. He says, but he's a kid. She screams at him, and he slaps her. He says, if anything happens to that boy, I'll be the first to testify against you. Give Andy the money. But she gets up and shoots him with the gun she had. She then calls Andy and tells him she has the money ready and tells him where to meet her. He goes, but she's not there. She's waiting outside, watching for the nurse, the kid's mother, to leave for work. She sneaks into the apartment and tries to strangle the boy with a plastic bag, but it turns out to be a mannequin. She collapses and breaks it. Then Andy appears, and they both fall down the stairs during the struggle. She continues trying to kill him, but Detective Dana arrives and stops her. She had disguised herself as the nurse, the boy's mother. Tracy is arrested. As she walks out, she sees their neighbor's child getting out of a car with his mother, then realizes he's blind. She had done all of this and even killed Jed, for nothing. There was no evidence against her. And just like that, Andy was able to trap and outsmart her. And the movie ends. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update.